The Dying Breed Movie Club meets the movies with your host, Phil Congleton, guest starring Buck Nonnemaker and Damon Oliver. Music by Garth Ivan. Additional music by The Subterraneans, featuring Russ Fama, John Sweeney, Jim Bolno, and Joe Bronscheck. Directed and edited by Phil Congleton. Episode 7, Bond, The Beginning.
Greetings from the Thunderdome Bar in Salisburyville, PA. My name is Phil Congleton. First, let me introduce my guest. He is a veteran contributor to the TV production world and a skilled videographer and photographer.
Yes.
Mr. Buck Nonnemaker.
Thank you.
Welcome, Buck. Welcome, Buck.
Nice to be here.
And I have known this guy since the 7th grade, and both of us have been talking about movies with each other ever since. So I know he knows what he is talking about. One of my oldest friends, David Oliver.
Thank you.
How's it going, man? The famed James Bond film franchise turns 50 this year, and as we celebrate the release of Dr. No back in 1962 and the launch of a great film character, first made famous by the great Sean Connery, we will also look forward because later in November, the new Daniel Craig Bond film Skyfall will be coming to theaters near you. So to honor these scenarios, the Dying Breed Movie Club will talk about the early Connery films in episode 007, Bond the Beginning.
Growing up, because I did grew up in the 60s, and 70s, but he went right through the 70s and still going today. But yeah, Bond was definitely part of growing up, mainly because he was just one of the smoothest guys out there as far as the actors. They put a movie out just about every year, so he was always in the movies. Always got the girls, more than one, no matter who it was, even if she was trying to kill him, and drove the coolest cars.
I mean, you literally grew up with Bond. I mean,
I'm a little older than you.
I was gonna say,
just a little.
I was gonna say, can I say this? You were born pretty much the year before the first movie came out. So
yes.
You grew up with it. I mean, so did I. I remember watching it on the Sunday night movie on ABC.
Yeah.
I actually was a Roger Moore fan because I saw more of his stuff and then had to kind of backtrack back to Connery.
Right.
And then once we got into like Pierce Brosnan and all that, I was like, okay, this is starting to get a little silly. But I was a huge Roger Moore fan, and the thing I love about Bond movies, especially with them on DVD now, is I just love watching them like in the summer, out by the pool or something like that. But
it seemed like a summertime thing.
I know, exactly.
Why? Did they always come out in the summer?
No, they always come out in November. And I'm like, but they're great for the summer. Especially on a Sunday night, just hanging out or whatever, at the pool or whatever. So I've been a big fan of Bond forever. What about you?
Probably, I grew up with you with Roger Moore, James Bond, then backtracked to Connery. The first one that I really enjoyed that I remember, I haven't seen them all, but was The Spy Who Loved Me.
That's my all-time favorite, by the way.
Because the underwater car was cool.
Yeah.
Sheena Easton was fine. She was singing the music on there. So
yeah.
That's another thing. The songs.
The songs are great.
Like Live and Let Die is like a classic.
And McCartney, even back to Goldfinger with Shirley Bassey, that became was it a #1 hit? It was definitely in the top 40.
Yeah.
Definitely a top 40 hit. Yeah.
And a lot of the young people don't even know that Live and Let Die was made for a Bond movie. They think it's just Paul McCartney.
Right. It's just one of his songs on the album.
Another solo song by Paul McCartney.
Right.
So, but cool. Yeah.
You said the gadgets in the car, the toys and stuff, because that Aston Martin, I fell in love with that thing. I was a big Matchbox kid.
Oh yeah.
And it had the ejection seat and everything. Of course, I don't know how long it took till I lost that guy who flew out of there, but loved that car. Still love that car to today. It's such a cool car.
In fact, to that point, I think the toy craze went nuts when Thunderball came out. So when we get to Thunderball, we'll hit on that some more because I think I had like the undersea dude. One of the underwater dudes.
Oh, cool.
With
the propelling, whatever the hell that thing's called.
Created by the great British author Ian Fleming, the first Bond novel came out in 1953 called Casino Royale. The following year, an American television show on CBS called Climax adapted Casino Royale into a 1-hour episode starring Barry Nelson as Jimmy Bond. But it wouldn't be until 1962 when famed film producer Albert E. Cubby Broccoli, along with Harry Saltzman and United Artists, decided to make the first theatrical film, Dr. No, based on the Fleming novel released in 1958. This would be the first Bond, and it would star Scottish actor Sean Connery.
Yes, he is from
I
Edinburgh.
almost said British actor.
Born in Edinburgh.
So yeah, Dr. No would be the first one. It came out in 1962. It's basically Bond goes into action to find out why one of his fellow agents was killed, and along the way finds out that the evil Dr. No basically wants to end the U.S. space program. So you are introduced to Shaken Not Stirred. You're introduced to Sean Connery. You meet Moneypenny for the first time. Moneypenny, played by Lois Maxwell, who stayed on until the final Roger Moore film, A View to a Kill. And Bernard Lee, who stays on until Moonraker before he passed away in 1981. There's also, I don't know if you ever noticed, but there is also a recurring character that comes in almost all these movies. The guy Felix Leiter.
Oh yeah.
He's the American CIA agent.
Right.
And the funny thing about him is they can't find an actor to keep on all the time. So it's a different guy. I think only one dude actually repeated it more than twice.
Maybe that's the running joke for it, you know. Always a
Yeah,
different
exactly.
character type.
It's like the American guy, the CIA guy. Nah.
Yeah, they can't keep guys in the CIA. I don't know what to talk about.
Exactly.
It's a revolving door over
No
there.
one's gonna notice the American guy in the British film.
Yeah, it's true.
Felix is played by Jack Lord in this movie, who would eventually go into Hawaii 5-0.
Yes.
We also meet Ursula Andress.
Oh, she is beautiful.
She is just amazing in this film.
I love it with Bond movies a lot that they will introduce these people a lot later in the movie. I mean, she doesn't come along until they're on that island, you know, and she's just collecting shells.
Like an hour into the movie,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
shows up.
I kept wondering, where is she? Where's this beautiful girl? Because I mean, she was a fairly established actress, I think, at that point. It's still new, but I think she had done some things before that, so she wasn't brand new.
Which
Amazing how late she comes in on the movie.
yeah, and that was pretty much the movie that made her a star. I mean,
Yeah.
After that, she went on to do a bunch of other stuff, and
I was wondering too, is it the first movie where they breathe with reeds under the water? Did they ever do that before?
probably.
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. Shoot, I think I saw that on Gilligan's Island once.
Yeah, but Gilligan's Island would have been later.
Yeah, that's true.
It was
That's
62,
true.
so I wonder
That's
if
true.
I wonder if that was also a
Maybe.
groundbreaker. That's a cool thing. I want to try that sometimes.
Really?
Get a nice read.
Well, we'll
see if I can probably end up drowning
We'll
myself.
take you out to the pool. You can give it a shot.
Do you have any reads? Just need some
I don't even
reeds.
have bamboo. We also get introduced to the great music of John Barry. That is another thing I love about Bond movies is the music. I could sit and listen to that stuff for hours. Hours. It's just so good.
It's just so fitting to the movies, you know. It portrays the action. It's part of the action, you know. It's really well done. Now I don't know if he scored it. You know, sometimes they'll score things while they're watching some scenes, so it really works.
It works with it, yeah.
You know, because it almost seems that way. Sometimes it's just dead on. You know.
Yeah, I like the music too. I thought, but a couple of them I thought it could be used more because some of the scenes they're just talking. It's like a lull. You just hear nothing in the background, nothing but them talking. It kind of takes you out of it. And you need music more to set that mood for the scene.
That's true. Yeah, unless they figured when we do bring it in, it'll have more of an effect that way because we, you know.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting about Dr. No is there's no theme song yet. Like the movie,
Right.
it was the first Bond film, so all they really do is the.
Yeah,
It wasn't
true.
until From Russia with Love where they had a person come out and do a song and whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting thing about this one, because I'm sitting there going, "What's the? Oh yeah, there is no theme song for this. There wouldn't be." So yeah. So and the special effects are great.
Oh yeah.
What car is the Connery Bond guy into? Is he Aston Martin or
Aston Martin?
He's the Aston Martin.
Aston Martin.
'Cause I know when they got to Roger Moore, he changed it, and I forget what he used to drive.
Was that an Alfa Romeo?
Alfa Romeo. Well, one of them was Alfa Romeo.
One of them was an Alfa Romeo. And in
Really?
fact, a couple of them were Alfa Romeos. In fact, what movie is it? He steals an Alfa Romeo. Some guy's making a phone call and he just gets in his car and takes off, and I'm pretty sure it's an Alfa Romeo, and that became his car for the rest of the movie. You know, so Alfa Romeo definitely had some moments in some Bond films. But the Aston Martin was pretty sweet. I mean, that's still just a beautiful car even today.
Yeah. And what was really cool about Connery was he was just kicking some ass.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm glad he went back to that with Daniel Craig, back to a rough and tumble type of Bond instead of a smooth, suave, type of don't get dirty type of Bond.
Well,
right, exactly.
Well, when they realized that Sean Connery was leaving and Roger Moore was coming in, Roger Moore wanted to put his own little touch on it. You know, the funny one-liners and, and a different, not always being like this brutal asshole, you know. Because Sean Connery is...
He's got some one-liners.
I
He
know.
really actually does some of these.
Yeah, he does have a couple,
Every now and then you're just like, oh, that's pretty smooth. And, you know, if you're not listening, it might get right by you, you know. Like, I guess when the hearse goes off the side of the road, crashes into a bunch of pieces. And, that was Dr. No, right? And you say, what happened? Well, I think they were going to a funeral. I just thought it was pretty funny. Things are smoldering at the bottom of the hill.
He had a good one in Thunderball, too, and I can't remember it now. But yeah, he had the one-liners, too.
He had some one-liners, yeah. They write a little humor in there. That's kind of what adds to that smoothness of it, you know.
I like Dr. No's significance because it's the first one. And you get introduced to all his gadgets and all the characters, and Shaken Not Stirred, and Aston Martin, and I'm not even sure what kind of his favorite gun was, but
I like when the villain's mysterious and you don't really see him right away. You know, it takes a while to see him.
I mean, you're also in the early days of all the stereotypes where I think later on in a couple of movies we'll talk about, you got the bad guy with the cat, and you know, the guy in the wheelchair, and you know, all the stuff that Austin Powers had a blast with. You know, so, but I mean, still, it's great stuff. They did a great job with the special effects. So I tried to be a little bit nicer with this one, even though it was a little bit slow. So I'm probably gonna go like a B on this one for Dr. No, yeah. So
I would have to go with a B on that too, only because it would be like the slow moving of it is like, you know, just waiting and waiting. I guess I've gotten used to that. You know, like you said, action war happening now, but that was really more slow paced. And that's the way they did it back then.
Yeah. It's a little bit too serious too. I guess I was used to a little bit of comedy being interjected into Dr. No, and I think as they move forward, especially when they bring in Q, as they move forward,
as a foil.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what did you think about the? I don't know. I was a little confused about the dragon tank or whatever that thing was that was shooting out the fire. I was like,
you could probably get away from that if you really tried.
I know.
Well, it wasn't moving very fast.
I was like,
somehow they got fried.
I was like, is it supposed to look like that?
It looked like something that came from an amusement park.
It looked
it
like
ran off its track or something.
It looked like something you see in a Halloween parade or something.
Exactly. They made a big deal out of it too.
Yeah, they're like, it's killing everyone.
You don't want to see that thing.
Destroying the countryside, and everyone's running from it, and it's the end of the world.
You don't want to come up against that.
And this thing comes out and looks like two guys are behind it pushing it, and it's like, are you serious? Is it supposed to look like this? Because it is really bad.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
So.
I think overall I'd give it a B+, only because I don't mind waiting for the action. I love when the villain is kind of mysterious. You don't really know who he is right away. And plus, they really moved around. They were in a lot of different locations. It's beautiful. Well, most Bond movies, they just have some beautiful scenery. They take you all over the world. And they started right out of the gun with Dr. No by putting you in a lot of really cool places. Really nice cinematography.
Yeah.
I like the locations that they do use in it. The only thing that takes you out of it is because when they go to, it says like when they're in a car, I mean, you can tell it's a screen with film already on it of cars behind you. You know, you're shooting around these different locales, and you go to a studio and shoot a scene that's on a backdrop and pretending like you're driving. And kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was kind of a thing back then. I mean, you know, these car chases of the early '60s, and you know, even in some of the Bonds, you know, even in Thunderball, where she's really getting that Mustang up to over 100 miles an hour. But you know, when they're in the car, it looks like you're not really going that fast.
That's one cool thing about the Bond franchise. I mean, even more than Star Wars and Star Trek, there's always these different parts of it that are staples for just those that continue on from film to film to film. Like you got the Bond girl, you got the Bond theme, you got the locations, and what's great is it's not green screen. They actually go to
the locations, which is awesome.
I mean, I know in the older ones they may have to do some stuff back at the studio because of the stuff driving in the car, or if they're having a scene where it's like impossible to shoot on the high seas, and you have the thing in the background with a fake sky or whatever. But I mean, it still works. I mean, that was an Alfred Hitchcock staple. He did that all the time.
Absolutely.
So and it worked.
It did work.
And it was just like.
And of course the gadgets. There's always gadgets for Bond. You know, for him to get out of whatever jam he's in. You know. You know, he kind of, it's funny when the gadgets are presented to him, he's all just very like, matter of fact, like, whatever, just, you know, put it in my bag. But boy, he brings it out when he needs it.
So we're moving on to the second Bond film. We're just going to gloss over it a little bit because we wanted to concentrate more on Goldfinger and Thunderball. But we have to talk about From Russia with Love, because it does have some historical significance to it. This is the first appearance of Q. Desmond Llewellyn, who played Q, he stays on with the Bond cast all the way up to the Pierce Brosnan Bonds. He gets replaced by John Cleese in the last Brosnan film. Cleese would be known as R in The World Is Not Enough, and R gets promoted to Q for the last film, Die Another Day. That's the one with Hal Berry. But this is the first appearance in From Russia with Love. This is the first appearance of Desmond Llewellyn as Q. Q is the guy that creates all the gadgets and stuff for Bond, and he gets his first appearance in From Russia with Love, which came out in 1963. This film is a little bit slower than Dr. No. It's kind of got a very basic plot. It's really all it is the search for a missing encryption decoder device, and there's a little bit more trouble from the evil Spectre organization.
Yes.
The bad guy in the film, or one of the bad guys in the film, is played by Robert Shaw from Jaws fame. Farewell and adieu and old. The theme song From Russia with Love was sung by Matt Monro. I don't know who he is.
Not sure. No.
From
He did a lovely job.
Lovely job. So yeah, I thought this one was a little bit slow. I just wanted to touch on it a little bit briefly because of the whole Q thing.
The train, you know, which, you know, like we were saying, is a little boring. But you know, they will take you places. Like Thunderball took you underwater. You know, this one, a lot of things happening on the train, which made it kind of interesting. So I think they
trains are always fun.
Trains are cool. I like trains. You know.
It also had that mystery on the train type of thing going on, but I don't know. This one they could have used a little bit better, I think. And but I did like locales that they had in here, like Istanbul. I like the scenery, the background. It was just very, I don't know, just something like you look at it, you want to go there.
Exactly. Big expanses of land. Yeah.
The helicopter scene was kind of neat.
Actually, that's
but,
right.
But it's funny if you're, and this is why I took a couple points off of it. If you're watching it, pay close attention. When I think it crashes and the guy jumps out of it, and it's supposed to be Bond. He jumps out and he's running past the rock, and then you see Sean Connery come around the corner and come running up the other way.
Oh no!
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't miss that. Well, maybe
That
they
was
just
like
let
very
it go.
obvious. Yeah.
They're like, look, we blew up the helicopter. We're not gonna blow up another one.
That's one of the perks of having a big giant video projector. You see that
You
shit
get to
all
see
the
it
time.
all,
Yeah. Yeah. So there were some sloppy parts to it. It was kind of slow. It was kind of a basic plot.
Yeah.
But I believe this is the first like helicopter action you see in a Bond film,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some cool stuff in it, and the bad guy was alright, and the Bond girls were cute.
As usual.
They never have a problem with that.
They do that really well.
Yeah, that's one thing that stays an A+.
Yeah.
Always an A+. Yeah, they search for hotties.
I can probably name at least 3 other Bond movies that I don't like more than this one. So I'm probably leaning towards a C+ for this one. Again, there is some historical significance to it. It is a Bond film that people should watch, you know, as part of the history and all that.
I agree with the C+, especially because of the introduction of Q, which just became such a strong character for such a long time. You know, it makes you wonder if they were so set on getting a movie out every year.
Yeah,
They might have rushed a few things.
Yeah.
They might have rushed a few things. You know,
I give it a C+
think you're right.
too, because of just the significance of the characters that they've introduced in it, and there are some other ones that, like you said, that I probably don't like more. Probably the Pierce Brosnan era. He wasn't really into those.
Yeah. Sean Connery did Dr. No in 1962. He did Russia with Love in 1963. He did Goldfinger in 1964, and then did Thunderball in 1965.
Yeah.
And then was starting to get pissed off, and that's why it took 2 years to bring out the 5th one, You Only Live Twice. That came out in 67. And then he started getting even pissed off more, and then that's why he disappeared, and they brought in the other guy, George Lazenby, for the one film, and then they were able to get him back for Diamonds Are Forever, but by then the damage had been done, and he was out.
Right.
But it's really neat watching You Only Live Twice, because you can see how much Connery aged from Dr. No. I mean,
It's because they were working him so hard.
his hair is obviously fake.
Yeah.
Or not fake, but dyed. He looks chubbier. He just looks like he's just done. You know,
He had enough.
So that was just a little side note. But we get to Goldfinger in 1964, and Guy Hamilton turns out to be my all-time favorite Bond director. He does all the really good ones. He directed Goldfinger. Basically, in this film, Honor Blackman plays Pussy Galore.
What a great name.
Yes, great name.
Always had great names for the.
And
Oh,
it makes you wonder, was that a inside joke, or was it something that just was passable in 1964? And
I was wondering, like, could we get away with that today without somebody, some group coming out saying, "Whoa"?
But then
you
again,
can't use that name.
But then again,
Terrible.
it was the 60s, and we're kind of moving into that era.
Free love.
Yeah, free love, and that new era of Hollywood where.
So free love you get. Pussy galore.
Exactly, exactly. So, and Gert Frobe plays Auric Goldfinger. Basically, Goldfinger wants to destroy Fort Knox, so his stash of gold skyrockets in price. My favorite line, and I think it's one of the best lines in film history, is, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die."
Exactly.
With the laser is
the
like
laser.
a classic
The
shot.
laser was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, laser was awesome.
So Bond is trying to figure out what's going on here. He stumbles across this plot to. It's first originally thought that they just want to rob Fort Knox, but as the movie is going along, you realize Goldfinger wants to blow up Fort Knox with like 2 bombs I think he stole, or a bomb that he stole.
Definitely had an atomic bomb in
He
there.
wanted to basically irradiate it so it was useless for at least 100 years, and then all the gold that he has,
58 years, I believe you said.
yeah, would skyrocket in price.
Long enough for his money to go way up.
And Gert Frobe is just fantastic.
Yeah, he was
Goldfinger.
excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect Goldfinger.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention there was no Felix in From Russia with Love.
That's true.
Felix comes back in Goldfinger, and I hope I'm pronouncing this guy's name right. Seek Linder plays Felix Leiter in this one, and the song is sung by Shirley Bassey.
Became a top 40 song.
Yeah, very popular song even today. Even young people can at least hum the Goldfinger theme.
Great horns in there.
One of the
That's my horn.
One of the best parts about this movie is after the beginning credits, you are given a awesome one continuous camera shot across the sky following a blimp that goes all the way into the hotel where Bond is staying.
Yeah.
And the music is great. The music in it just sits perfectly.
Once again, cinematically, you know, they really put some thought into these shots.
Yeah,
they're very grand. You know,
they do all the great techniques that Hollywood was wonderful for, and movie making and stuff like that. And it's just like it's just a fantastic movie. I just love Goldfinger.
Yeah, one of my favorites, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention.
It was a shame that she got painted gold.
Yes.
A real hottie. I would have liked to see her some more.
Yes.
In the movie.
Yes.
But
As cute as Pussy Galore was, the big female star in this film is Shirley Eaton, who is just
painted gold. Yeah.
So cute.
Really cute.
She plays the famous Jill Masterson, the one who gains fame as the woman killed by gold paint.
Yeah. And that's when I learned as a kid that, you know, you can paint yourself, but if you don't leave a patch open on your spine,
that's what they
you're
say.
Gonna die.
That's what they say.
And I learned that from Bond.
That's what they exactly.
I learned that from Bond. From that movie.
You gotta leave at least one little tiny spot open for your skin to breathe, or you'll suffocate to death. Yeah. So if you're ever gonna do a Halloween deal,
I'm not gonna paint myself now.
If you're ever gonna do a Halloween deal, be careful with the paint. Don't paint everything.
Do it.
But yeah, they've been talking about that ever since this movie came out. That's like a trivia thing or something like that.
Buddy Eaton have a problem with that when he was painted for The Wizard of Oz? Or what's it?
Buddy Epps. No, his issue was he was allergic to the lead paint. And that's why he had to pull out. He couldn't do it. He was just too allergic to the paint.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a good one to bring up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, we Q returns as well as Moneypenny and M, and great fight scenes, lots of good comedy spread out through the film. I usually end up giving Goldfinger an A-. I just love Goldfinger. It's my second favorite after The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, I would definitely give it. I give it a solid A. I think start to finish, just a great movie. You know,
I like it. And
one of the best.
Looking at things now, you know, with terrorism and all now, as to what that movie was filming back in the '60s. Like when they had the planes going over Fort Knox, you know, spraying everything. Like,
I know.
I wonder if back then could they even fly over Fort Knox?
Yeah, that's
with those little pipers.
That's what I was wondering too.
Yeah.
It was like, I guess security wasn't that big back then, or maybe they just didn't think of that kind of a thing back then.
I don't know. There were all kinds of soldiers on the, you know, right there at Fort Knox, but nobody was watching these 5 planes.
Unless
yeah.
Unless you're supposed to assume, they did bust in there. Yeah, they shouldn't be there, but they got the job done by knocking everyone out and got away. I guess that's what you're supposed to assume. So, but
and what is the character? The Asian guy was super strong with his hat.
Oh yeah,
love that hat, man.
I
don't know what his character name is. I should.
Oddjob, played by Harold Sakata. Oddjob was cool.
Oddjob was great with his hat. Love that hat. He's just too cool. You can hit him in the face with a board and he just laughs at you. You know, super strong.
Great fight scenes in this movie.
Great fight scenes, mainly because of him. You know, he was a big part of it, especially in Fort Knox. And that's a terrific scene in there.
And I'm not going to spoil anything, but Bond takes him out pretty interesting. That was cool.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I know. Yeah. Well, I also love, you know, it's kind of cool what they do with Bond because a lot of times, you know, they could just put a bullet in him, you know. And in fact, they were about to kill him when he brings up Operation Grand Slam. I think that's what they were calling this. He's like, what about Operation Grand Slam, you know? And all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a minute. So, you know, so they don't kill him there. They decide, we're going to just strap you to the bomb and see what happens from there, you know. I really like that. You know, just you see that in a lot of Bond movies. You know, he gets a lot of second and third chances because there's a special way we want to kill you.
Instead of just killing you
Instead
right
of just,
off,
I could put you a bullet in your head, but that's boring.
We just want to do a special killing for you.
You're right, exactly. Yeah, because you're 007. We got to make this thing special and give you a few chances to get away too.
But the really interesting thing about this movie is, and I'm not giving anything away. Okay, Bond wins in the end, of course.
Yeah,
I'm not giving.
He lives to
anything
do
away.
another movie.
Big secret.
But to not spoil too much, the interesting thing is actually Felix saves the day.
He does.
Yeah,
That's right.
Felix saves the day.
He does.
Because Bond's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
Click.
That was awesome. It brings the character back to being a little bit more human. I think.
Absolutely.
I think as Bond went on through the ages, especially with Roger Moore, people started to develop this attitude like he can do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Like,
can't kill him. You can barely get him dirty.
Yeah,
you know?
like he's Teflon, like nothing sticks to him or whatever. You know?
Exactly.
Right.
And Goldfinger kind of gives you this moment of, okay, he is human.
Yeah.
He can't do everything.
I think that's why I give it an A. I love how it finishes. You know, the finish of the movie without giving too much away. I just think it has one of the best finishes of any Bond movies.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm A minus, Buck, you're A. And what did you say, Damon? A.
So the movie with the A.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, as we move on to Thunderball, Buck mentioned that he thought that like Goldfinger and Thunderball was like the first couple Bond films, and it takes us back to what we were saying before, that by the time Thunderball came out, the franchise had grown so much that they were selling toys left and right. And you probably saw all kinds of stuff in the stores when you were kids, and
Absolutely.
and seeing ads and stuff and commercials and whatever, and you're thinking Thunderball is the first Bond film growing up, you know, and it's like
It's kind of the beginning of all that merchandise.
Yeah.
There's so much merchandise attached to movies today, but in 1964, 65, not so much. Like that was probably the beginning of it. That was probably the beginning of it.
I'm pretty sure either me or one of my friends back then had one of the undersea diving guys doll or whatever.
I missed that. I would have loved
the
it.
G.I. Joe James Bond thing.
Probably.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
with the little flippers and everything,
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
oxygen
Yeah,
tank.
I remember those.
Shoots out the
little harpoon
things.
gun. But I think this is when Hollywood started discovering merchandising and stuff for movies, and a whole new outlet for making cash for a film and whatnot. So we're moving on to Thunderball.
Once again, theme song. Is that Tom Jones
That's
singing
Tom
that thing?
Jones.
I
Tom
thought so.
Jones. Tom
I didn't have to
Jones.
look that one up. Tom Jones, man. Yeah, that's right. That guy, very distinctive voice. And once again, coming from the Shirley Bassey, the Goldfinger, that became a top 40 hit, and all of a sudden now you've got mainstream people singing these songs. Tom Jones was just coming up with What's New Pussycat and all this kind of stuff.
The Thunderball one had to be in the top 20. It had to.
I would think that was a great thing.
I guess that's something I should have looked into, since it's such an important part of Bond history, all these songs and stuff. But didn't do that.
Definitely, yeah.
So Bond heads to the Bahamas to find 2 nuclear warheads stolen by, yes again, Spectre.
Yes.
The Bond girl in this one, and she's my favorite, to this point, my favorite Bond girl. She plays Domino, Claudine Auger. And Adolfo Celli plays the bad guy Largo. Felix returns, and it's another guy again. Rick Van Nutter plays Felix in this one. I did notice some technical issues in this film, some editing mistakes. There's a boom mic in one of the shots. But it's all a wash, because when you watch the underwater scenes, they are spectacular, especially
Amazing.
for 1965.
Unprecedented. I mean, it's just amazing. It goes on and on and on. There's multiple guys down there having these crazy fights underwater. Sharks everywhere. Really there. pretty amazing stuff for that year, I think.
I just get blown away by watching that movie, and being a big fan of the Caribbean, I just like enjoy watching it. And it's another movie I just love watching out by the pool. It's just so much.
It's summertime, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen somebody had people talking about that were on set for that and the filming of it and everything, and all the takes they did, and everybody that they had involved with the underwater shooting and everything like that. It was really involved, the real detail of everything they did on the scene with that. And how they got the little things were really dragged by, like basically like a fishing wire almost. The word didn't actually work. They were just moved by string underwater, so
they're actually being pulled instead of being
Oh
propelled.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That is
cool.
interesting. The one scene where he's in the pool and he's fighting the one dude, and then he finds the vent or whatever that he can sneak through, and in the meantime, sharks are going past him, and he's like just.
And he looks at him like, "No, cool. I'm just a piece of fish or something."
I'm not the
Not
one that
bleeding.
I'm not the one that believes I'm invulnerable.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, back to Claudine Auger.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is one gorgeous woman, and I looked it up. She was the Miss France in 1958. So once again, they searched far and wide. I wouldn't say she's a great actress, but she fits the bill. She's beautiful. She got a little bit of an accent, and draws you in as yet another one of these Bond beautiful women.
True, she did have some facial expressions that seemed kind of silly.
Yeah, a little funny every now and then.
Like at the
but I forgave her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like at the very end when they're in the raft. And
Oh yeah.
he's doing his thing, and she's like making faces. I'm like, no,
What is this?
no, don't make the faces,
Yeah.
please.
Now, in the beginning of the movie, he gets away on that lovely jetpack. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never see it again.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's in other movies, right?
Well,
Where was it? Was it introduced in From Russia with Love?
Well,
No.
I did see it in the Gilligan's Island episode.
That must be it.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, that was the thing. You're in the mid '60s, and NASA's huge by then.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things they wanted to develop was the jetpack thing.
Yeah,
and I think they
talking about
actually did do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess Bond wanted to cash in on that.
Yeah.
They brought it into
They just
this
kind of
film.
give you a little taste of it in the
Right.
beginning
I
of the
think that's what
movie,
they-
and he never uses it
I think
again.
that's what they do with all their gadgets. Use it once, but you never see it again. It'd be in
Move
some
on to
other
the
kind
next-
of form. Or,
Move on to the next one.
Largo was a good bad guy too. I liked him in that.
Yeah, and once again, I love, number one, you don't really see him. He's petting the cat, He's sending number 9 to his death by the old chair that goes down under the ground into flames, which Austin Powers had a blast with, of course, But, I really like the idea sometimes where it's a little more mysterious who your villain is. You don't really get to see
that you
who
don't
it
get to
is.
see who it is until the end.
Sometimes you don't see him at all.
Right, exactly.
Getting back to the when Sean Connery went off to do that offshoot movie, Never Say Never Again. Never Say Never Again, they say, is sort of a remake of Thunderball.
It'll cost you.
Because in Never Say Never Again, he's in the spa.
Right, the spa.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and I love it. He locks the guy into his little steam bath there and turns it all the way up.
There's a scene where they go into Largo's lair, I guess, and it's a wide shot of Bond walking down the steps, and then he moves across the floor, and the camera is still panning, and up in the right corner you see a boom microphone come out, and it made me wonder. I'm like, why didn't they catch that? I'm like, why did they leave that in there? And the only thing I could think of was they were like, it's a lair, there's gadgets and shit everywhere, maybe they thought the audience would be like, yeah, that's part of the group, and just let it go.
Well, there were also other things going on, and maybe they didn't want to repeat it. I don't know where you saw the boom mic, but I know one guy was getting shot at pretty heavily with his bulletproof vest at the time, and there were little explosions going on. There were all kinds of testing going on in there.
So you really couldn't tell unless you actually know it. You would
Maybe
know
they just thought nobody'd see it, because you
Right,
could
yeah.
easily redo that.
and there is an issue in the DVD era where I believe a little bit more of the frame on
Is
exposed.
Right.
So
And then maybe back in the day when they were running it,
it was
cut.
safe at that point.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
They have all these different ratios.
Well, and this film was the first that they shot in Panavision, so I don't know if that had something to do with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there was one or two mistakes in it, but I mean, it's still a lot of fun. And just, I think this is the pop culture phenomenon one that got it started, like really rolling, like steam rolling.
With everything, with merchandising and everything, and tying in everything to the general public. So people got more of a feel of Bond and knowing the character more than just somebody who's into that genre.
Exactly.
And spies and their gadgets. You know, now you can get those gadgets too. You know, if you go to Walmart.
Now,
And that's the crazy thing about Q. He's already looking like an ancient old man.
I know.
He still hangs in for another 15, 16 movies. It's just amazing.
He's so serious about these things. And Bond's all nonchalant, matter of fact, like, oh, that would be lovely, sure, whatever.
Like, oh, don't do that here.
007, please. How quick.
So he's pulling stuff out of his hands. Give me that. Yeah, really great character that, you know, lucky for us, stuck around a very long time.
Yes.
Well, one bit of trivia I saw in here about the music. They were talking about Tom Jones. They said that he fainted after recording the high note at the end of recording the song.
Oh my God, that's fantastic!
Oh man,
that is fantastic. Because I was thinking, like, boy, he's getting up there.
I know.
He's holding that thing for a long
I
time.
was thinking, man, that had to hurt.
He fainted. That is fantastic. That's the best trivia yet. That's great.
He's still alive. He's probably in like
Oh,
his
yeah.
70s, something like that.
He's like, oh, this was the beginning of his
No, I don't use
career.
your wall to be loved by anyone.
Yeah, oh, the women loved him. And they throw their bras up there on
Yeah,
the stand and stuff. Great.
So yeah, I'm leaning towards a B+ on this one. It's still one of my favorites. It was probably the one that really got the franchise rolling.
What do you think, Damon?
Leaning towards a B+ on that also. I mean, everything about it was good. I mean, this is one of the better ones that I liked of the James Bond films.
The underwater stuff
Yeah,
is an A+.
just underwater
alone,
scenes
you know?
alone. Yeah.
That's why I think I go A-. I really hold it right up there with Goldfinger, but Goldfinger's still my favorite. So I gotta go minus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's some great
Goldfinger is
sets
better.
in here. There's some really wonderful sets and scenes and stuff. I think they put a little more into the sets in this one. So that's just another thing aside.
They actually did. Just as a side note, they said that the budget for this film equaled the budget to the first 3 Bond films. So,
Oh, I believe
That
it.
sounds about right. Yeah.
And the like you said, the underwater stuff.
Oh, the fight
just
scenes were
amazing.
great.
Just amazing.
Him swimming by and pulling off people's masks and stuff.
Cutting everybody's
But-
oxygen
yeah,
supply.
and then they go into that one, the one sunken ship or whatever that is, and he comes back out and throws a bomb in there. And it's-
Oh yeah, exactly.
oh, and how about this,
The
like,
jet?
the jet propelled swimming
That thing with all
apparatus or whatever.
green something coming out of the back. I was like, what is that?
Well, that was so you
And it was shooting stuff.
that was so the audience wouldn't lose track on which one he was.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he's the one with the green smoke.
But yeah.
Yeah, they did some amazing underwater stuff, and probably for that year, unprecedented. I really wonder if anybody did that caliber of underwater
I don't-
scenes
I
before
doubt it.
1965.
I
I
think so,
really
yeah.
doubt it.
yeah.
And we were talking back earlier about the matting issues where they have to have like a background behind a car or a
Oh,
boat
yeah.
or
Mhm.
something. And in the last scene where they're fighting in on the boat and it's moving and you're looking in the background and it's just like the camera's doing this. I mean, it was kind of cheesy, but I thought it was cool for 65.
Oh, yeah.
And they're trying to miss hitting the reefs and stuff. And
You know, they were booking.
I can just
They're coming up on those rocks quick.
Oh yeah.
I can just imagine it was very exciting for people to watch back in 1965. I mean, I'm sure
Oh yeah, absolutely.
most people laugh at it nowadays, but you know,
Well, I like the boat itself, the old breakaway.
Oh, man.
You had the big boat, and then it broke away to the speed kind of boat. It's still kind of a bigger boat, but it could go faster. And I thought, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was a neat little trick.
That's true, but
tricks in there.
I felt a little bit sorry for some of them bad guys, but they just got left there.
They were like,
They're
hey,
like,
we're back here.
What's going on? Oh, we better start shooting.
And then they got blown up. Yeah, that sucked for them, but you know, number 2 didn't give a damn.
Yeah. I'm hoping to do another one of these next year because I realized that next year will be the 60th anniversary of the first Bond novel, Casino Royale. So I think I'm going to do another one next year, and I want to kind of like make it a sequel to this one where we'll do like the last Connery, and then we'll go into George Lazenby, and then we'll do Diamonds Are Forever, and then maybe do the first Roger Moore to do like a transition, because it's kind of neat how that evolution went and all the changes.
And that Casino Royale, that was the first book, right?
Yeah, that was the first book.
So you might want to do
But
that.
then it was interesting, they never did a Casino Royale movie. They did the one with Peter Sellers, the comedy Casino Royale, which I guess counts as another offshoot movie.
Right.
It wasn't until the Daniel Craig one where they did Casino Royale. So it took a long time for them, for at least this franchise, to get to Casino Royale.
That's the first book.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I was physically angry when I walked out of Casino Royale too. I hated that movie. I really did.
For another cast.
I
did enjoy it myself.
I know I was like one of the few that hated that movie. What killed it for me was he's in the shower with the girl and he's sucking on her fingers. And I'm like, Bond does not suck on the
This is a new James Bond.
I'm like, this is silly, and it was just, and then the whole thing with the balls and whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on, really? You got to sophisticate it so much for the 21st century that you got to do this stuff. It's like, come on. Although I love Quantum of Solace, I thought Quantum of Solace was cool. Because they went back to the action stuff and the gadgets and everything else and the explosions, and it was fast paced and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to Skyfall. I'm hoping maybe they can like do a middle range thing where it's a little bit of Casino Royale for everyone to enjoy, and a little bit of Quantum of Solace,
Gadget stuff, yeah.
you know. So, what is your favorite Bond film, like, of all time?
Well, I honestly haven't seen all of them, but Goldfinger's right up there. I mean, that's a great one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really did like Daniel Craig. I think he's kind of that new Bond that takes it to I wanted it to if you're gonna put a new guy in there, maybe you do take it to a different level. You know,
well,
and talk about action. The beginning of Casino Royale was one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. Up on the crane.
He's walking, on the crane.
Oh, that was fantastic. And that was real deal. There was no CG, man.
Yeah, that was definitely
cool.
But it went downhill from there. What was your feelings on the Pierce Brosnan Bonds? Like, I thought GoldenEye was really good.
I like
But
Pierce.
then those just went downhill from there too.
Yeah.
Although I'm a huge fan of Michelle Kwan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She was in. I believe she was the one in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tomorrow Never Dies was actually pretty good.
Yeah. There were some good scenes on motorcycles and stuff like that.
Live and Let Die. That was an excellent movie.
Yeah.
Great boat chases. Was that the boat chases? Yeah, that was the boat chases. Sometimes I mush them together, but. There were some great scenes.
They had them in that. I think Moonraker had a lot of cool boat chase scenes too.
It did too,
yeah. Moonraker wasn't too bad. I like that.
Moonraker was fun.
Spy Who Loved Me was my favorite, but yeah, Moonraker wasn't bad.
The Spy Who Loved Me is your favorite? That's my all-time favorite.
That
too.
is a good one.
That was the first appearance of Jaws, and then he came back in Moonraker.
Yeah, Jaws really made that.
Yeah,
he was an excellent
and he meets
villain.
that girl.
Oh yeah,
with the braces. That's where they really raised the comedy element in the Bond films, which was a Roger Moore staple. They always tried to make him kind of funny. And then I was talking to someone the other day, a younger person who was talking about the cop that shows up in Live and Let Die, and then he comes back again in The Man with the Golden Gun, and he's like a sheriff from Louisiana.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
they're chasing Bond all over the place.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to this person, I'm like, I know you don't know who this is, but the sheriff was played by the guy who was Porky.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
So
great.
I just thought that was funny.
He was perfect for that, yeah.
But yeah, and I even have a little bit of a soft spot for the Timothy Dalton.
Oh, yeah.
I even have a soft spot for the Timothy Dalton ones because they try to go really serious with those.
Yeah.
Especially with License to Kill,
Yeah.
where he goes rogue
Mhm.
and all that. And,
Right.
and I thought Timothy Dalton did a fine job, but I think everyone was just so used to Connery and so used to
Yeah,
Moore.
they weren't ready for somebody else to step in there.
And what are you going to do? Because in A View to a Kill, Roger Moore was 59 in that movie.
That's amazing.
Even though he looked about
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
I know.
He was 59 in that movie. I mean, how much more can you run this man through? You got to change.
Exactly.
You know? So,
Yeah.
but, you know, it's a great franchise. It's one of my favorites. And I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, and these 4 movies were great because it was interesting to see, you know, they put them out 1 year in a row. Boom, boom, boom. 62, 3, 4, and 5. And the quality that you did get, like you said, you know, some of it got a little sloppy, some of it got a little rushed. But overall, to be pounding out movies like that every year, that's quite a
Of
statement.
this caliber.
They put out 4 really good movies right in a row.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even do that nowadays with franchises like that. I mean, franchises could be like 10 years between the first one and the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The-
You're waiting for
and
it.
another thing with the movies nowadays is they shoot them all in a row. Like they shoot them together almost. Like they
For
just
some of them, they
Yeah.
now shoot
Yeah.
them like
these
that.
guys would start at the beginning,
Yeah.
pre-production, principal photography, post,
Yeah.
marketing, out in the theater. Okay, well, thanks, guys. Well, that is all the time we have for this episode. Thanks again to Buck and Damon. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, everyone. See you on the movie aisles.
Creative consultant, Chris Mitch. Technical director, Rich Shoemaker. Special thanks to Angelina Giuseppe, Eric Godfrey, and me, Paula Burke. The Dying Breed Movie Club Meets the Movies is produced by Deep Lake Pictures Entertainment and has no connection to any of the movies, artists, or motion picture companies seen or discussed in The Dying Breed Movie Club Meets the Movies whatsoever. Copyrights for films, images, sound bites, trademark characters, and related materials discussed in The Dying Breed Movie Club Meets the Movies remain with their respective owners. All materials are solely used for criticism, discussion, and artistic interpretation based on the fair use laws of the United States.